So, if I could have your attention, please. We're going to go right into a presentation by Mr. Melao Mashale. He's the Senior Manager, Enterprise IoT Solutions at MTN Business. Mr. Mashale leads the MTN Business IoT portfolio after having led portfolios of mobile, voice, data, machine-to-machine, and internal WASP as a Senior Manager. He has over 9 years' experience in telecommunications across varying organizational levels and disciplines, with tenures at prestigious organizations, including Accenture, MTN, and MTN Business. Mr. Melao's topic is improving African lives through technology. Please give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. I guess I have the unfortunate of joining you after lunch. So I think to a large degree, we're all here to about the Internet of Things. And I doubt there's very much that I can cover that hasn't been covered today already around what IoT is. But one of the questions that's been burning on my mind is, have we not done what we always do as an industry and taken a technology and sort of just pushed it out to market in the way that we understand it, instead of actually fundamentally getting to grips of the opportunity that is presented with the maturity of these technologies? And this is why I'd actually like to talk to you about how the impact of technology fundamentally reshifts how we go to market and the propositions that we bring about thereof. Okay, so obviously we have to pay the bills, so we know who MTN is, but do you know who MTN Business is? So we currently operate across 22 opcos. We have 233 million subscribers. We have one of the biggest data footprints out on the continent, where we're transporting over 9 petabytes of data. We've built a global MPLS network that connects the whole of Africa. We like to refer to it as the fiber ring. So we're best positioned for your Africa expansion strategy. So, IoT. Basically, for me, it's constantly, as some of the other speakers have already said, it's about enhancing interactions that we're already aware of today. How do we look at normal use cases within the business and see how we can add technology to better improve that? This is a representation of one of the solutions that we're looking at around the automation in mining, where we've literally taken a truck and put in a whole bunch of kit around it, and we're driving it off a dedicated LTE network. This enables the drivers now to control up to 8 assets instead of sitting inside a hot truck the whole day with no air conditioning and suffering all mannerisms of environmental and health issues in the long run. Ultimately, again, a point that's been addressed quite vehemently earlier on around what IoT can do from a human rights perspective, accessibility to information, facilities, from a healthcare, labor, safety. I don't want to repeat all of this for you. I want to just get to the main points around this. I like this representation because it starts to introduce the conversation that I want to have around how do we fundamentally reshift how we think about technology. In the picture here, we've got a representation of a smartwatch and Continental, and what's most interesting is that the car's door is being opened through the watch. Now, who would have thought that Continental would be opening a car door? Because you always just see them as a tire provider. And if you look at their latest development, they've purchased a lot of, they purchased an AV company, which is fundamental in autonomous driving. So companies are already moving into the IoT space. The question is, what are you doing to capture that market? One of the ethos that I'm trying to drive through with my team is around how do we do things that we do in a way to have a social responsibility impact. So technology avails a whole bunch of functionality. Everybody will come and show you a cool gadget around a smartwatch, a smart this, a smart that. But what does it actually mean? Is somebody really going to pay to open their car from their watch, or the latest 7 series, which opens it from an iPad, and pay a whopping extra 10,000 Rand for that? So the use cases we're trying to focus on are ones that add value to humanity. Okay, so simplistically, what are the simple solutions that we can use technology to solve? How do we dramatically improve the life of people and other inanimate objects, let's put it that way? And then how do we put humanity at the core? This is a pilot that we've kicked off with one of our clients out in Valkofondin, and it just sums up in a nutshell all the points I want to cover with you.
When people hear the Internet of Things, they generally associate it with networks, devices, TVs, and washing machines that can speak to you, and how smart homes are going to change the world and revolutionize the way we work as individuals. The more inspiring part for me is how we utilize this information to truly make a difference in the world. Africa is a very large continent with diverse life and species. Sustaining our animals, our wildlife, in this vast area is extremely important for future generations. The problem, however, is that Africa is such a large continent. The wide open spaces, the issues in the landscape terrain that it has causes problems not only in protecting the animals and the wildlife that we have, but also in assisting those who do protect it in managing it. We at MTN, and specifically the Internet of Things division, have taken this problem to heart and have committed ourselves in providing solutions to combat this issue. So we've currently earmarked rhinos for a pilot to start seeing how we as MTN can add value not only to their existence but the longevity thereof. We approached one of our existing clients, Valgevonden, and proposed to them a solution which they gladly accepted. The Internet of Things is an ecosystem of devices, network, and services to deliver information in monitoring wildlife. These three components are broken down simply as asset management, tracking and monitoring units that are fitted to the animals, a new network that is in place to receive the information from these animals, and thirdly, the graphical user interface that allows people to understand what that information actually means, allowing them to then start forecasting and assisting in how they work better, how the environments work better, and how animals ultimately are kept safe. When rhinos move out of protected areas or close to known hotspots, that information is then automatically and immediately sent to the game rangers of Valgevonden, that they understand that the animal might be in some danger, or it's veered into an area where known poaching activity has been happening. The big idea, of course, is that this specific solution is not only for rhinos, but once we can start measuring one of the most endangered species in the world at present, it gives us the scope to expand that solution to different animals. The Internet of Things has the capability to be so much more than just the enabler for your next Netflix session. It allows us to have a broader view and a sense of understanding of how we can impact our surroundings, how we can be conduits to sustainable living within the environment. And that is the important thing. It's about taking information, taking services, and taking solutions that you currently have, changing them from their traditional usage and getting more value for the greater good.
So essentially, that's what I've got up on the board is a portfolio of technologies. These are that we've started building. It's been use case driven, so we walk through with our clients, build the solution out, then we go into the productization phase. I think this approach, as highlighted earlier by some of the speakers, for me has yielded the most results, because we were playing around with a number of different technologies, be it your LoRa's, your Sigfox, etc., but up until you have actual use cases, then putting all the pieces together becomes somewhat of a difficult puzzle. Essentially, what we're basically doing from an MTN perspective is building a focused verticalization strategy that's delivering technologies for each one of the industry verticals, and then starting to build out the ecosystems in those environments as well. Thank you very much.